What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Talkin Football podcast. This is now episode 26, I believe. In today's episode, I'm going to be recapping week 4. So we're going to be going over scores, injury reports, obviously, and with dog of the week and player of the week with some, basic filler stuff in the middle. You guys know what I'm talking about. Let me roll the intro and let's get into it. All right. So week 4 was a very solid week of football. We saw a lot of good games and a lot of bad games, including that Monday Night Football game with the Titans and Dolphins. I didn't watch a single minute of that game, and I can tell you that it was pretty bad. So let's get into the week 4 scores. We're going to start with Thursday Night Football in the top left and end with the Monday Night Football games in the bottom right. Let's hit it. The Cowboys beat the Giants 20-15 on Thursday Night Football in what was a pretty close game for what it's worth. Giants played well. Cowboys played a little bit better. The Denver Broncos upset the Jets in MetLife Stadium 10-9 in a defensive battle there, very rainy. The Falcons beat the Saints 26-24 following a Younghoe Koo. Not a walk-off win, but a very close to it. He hit a game-winning field goal. He set his career high by 4 more yards. It is now 58. He won the game on a 58-yarder, and he won it actually pretty good. The Bengals beat that's 3, right? Yeah, the Bengals beat the Panthers 34-24 and what was a great game for Cincy offensively. That's 2 straight games where they've scored 30-plus points. The Bears beat the Rams 24-18 and what was a good showing for the Bears overall. Still think they have a lot of things to clean up, but they look pretty good. The Vikings hung on in Green Bay, and they won 31-29. They had a 28-0 lead in that game, and they only ended up winning by 2. So something to keep an eye on for next week and also for the season beyond. The Jaguars fell to 0-4 as they lost to the Texans 24-20 was the final score there. The Colts beat the Colts without Anthony Richardson for most of the game, beat Pittsburgh 27-24 on the back of Uncle Joe Flacco. The Bucs dismantled, even though it's only a 17-point game, is pretty much dismantled. The Bucs dismantled the Eagles 33-16 was the final there. San Francisco beat New England 30-13. Washington blew out Arizona 42-14 was the final there. Kansas City closely beat the Chargers 17-10 in a game that was actually a pretty good defensive battle for 2 offensive-minded teams. The Raiders beat the Browns 20-16 was the final score there. Baltimore established themselves as a top dog after beating Buffalo 35-10. That put Buffalo to 3-1. Baltimore now is up to 2-2. The Titans beat the Miami Dolphins with a final score of 31-12, a very boring game there, and the Seahawks lost to the Lions, but the Tigers. It is playoff baseball anyways, but that's not really the point. The Lions won that game 42-29 in what was an absolute shootout. So very good games across the board overall, in my opinion. We saw a lot of close games. I thought that Giants and Cowboys game on Thursday night was a pretty solid game. I thought the Packers and the Vikings game had a very good ending. The Falcons and Saints game was a good game. A lot of good games, but a couple of blowouts here and there. I am happy that I was able to get the 3 picks that I uploaded on the short. I got all 3 right, which I'm happy about. If you guys want me to keep uploading those, I'll definitely do those. So let me know about them. I basically did a couple of my game picks, and then I said if you want to watch the rest of them, look at my game picks video. If you want me to keep doing that, I will definitely keep doing those. Just let me know in the comments below. So let's get next into the injury report. There are quite a few injuries to report this week, and we're going to start with Rashee Rice. So Rashee Rice reportedly, I haven't heard otherwise at this point. I still think that they're looking I still think they're trying to look for confirmation, but I believe that Rashee Rice is out for the year with a torn ACL. This may change. I don't know the severity of the injury, but at this point, the Chiefs fear that's an ACL. I'm assuming that he's out for the year with an ACL injury, so I would pretty much bank in on Rashee Rice being out for the year. Shaq Thompson's also out for the year with a torn Achilles injury. He was playing very good football. It's a shame now because Carolina's finally turned around the corner, but now he's out for the year. One of the better linebackers, very underrated, Shaq Thompson. He's been doing this for a while now. He's a very good linebacker. Jonathan Taylor is out with a sprained ankle. I don't know the severity of it. I'm pretty sure it's mild. But ankle sprains are tricky, especially for running backs, especially one of Jonathan Taylor's caliber. I don't think they're going to want to rush him back. I believe that I think he's expected to miss anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, anywhere in that range. If I had to guess, I'd say probably more 3-4 weeks if I had to put a timetable on it. James Daniels is out for the year with an Achilles injury. He tore it against the Colts in that loss there. Christian Watson sprained his ankle in a loss against the Vikings. It's another leg injury for Christian Watson, who just seemingly cannot stay on the field. Demarcus Lawrence is out for 4 to 6 weeks with an ankle injury, and Micah Parsons is potentially out next week. The Cowboys are currently planning on that scenario happening. Anthony Richardson is unlikely to miss games with his hip injury that he suffered against the Steelers, as I just mentioned. Uncle Joe Flacco came in and won the game for the Colts there. Nick Chubb's practice window has just opened, so good news there for the Cleveland Browns. So if you guys are unaware of how that works, teams can open up a practice window if you're on the PUP list, and this is important because you're going to see this later in the year with guys like T.J. Hawkinson and other players who may have had season-ending injuries, maybe Tyler Higbee as well. So how this works, if you're on the PUP list going into the regular season, your practice window opens. You have 3 weeks to activate that player onto your active roster. If he does not get activated in that, then he's out for the rest of the year. So that's why it's really important. I would expect Nick Chubb to be back pretty soon. Hold on, where was it? Where did I left off? No, there you go. Tyler Bidet has movement in arms and his legs. If you guys are unaware of who I'm talking about, he's a Broncos running back. He suffered, I believe, I don't know if they're calling it a seizure officially, but he did have some kind of episode on the sidelines where he had to be taken off in a stretcher. But good news, he has movement in his arms and his legs there. So really, really positive news. Really positive news there for the Broncos, really for the NFL, because that stuff's scary, man. I mean, that stuff. It really affects people, that stuff's really scary. I mean, I was just watching Red Zone and I just saw it happen. I was like, what just happened here? Like, this is genuinely really scary. But good news is that Tyler Bidet looks like he's going to be okay. So let's get into the week overview, the theoretical debriefing. How good are these Washington Commanders, man? They're 3-1 now. Their 1 loss is to Tampa. The 3 wins are to the Giants, against the Giants. They just beat the Cardinals, obviously, and the Bengals. So how truly good is this team? This offense is unbelievable. Cliff Kingsbury, man, I'm giving him all the credit in the world. He's calling an amazing game plan. Daniels is balling. Terry McLaurin's balling. B-Rob is having an unbelievable season. This team is really putting it together. How are they doing this? How truly good is this Commanders team? So here's where I am on this. And again, and I know I say this every single video, it's almost getting to a cliche. Look, I know the helmet's back there. I know that helmet's up there. I think it's a little bit blurry. I have 2 Barkley pictures, and I have a picture of Manningham on the sideline right there in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying anything about Washington. They're a good football team. I need to see more, though. I need to see more. They're a great 3-1 team. They're really good. I don't know if this team is beating the top dogs, though. I feel like if the Commanders played a healthy Rams team, which I don't know if they are, I don't know if they are at some point this season. If the Commanders were to play a healthy Rams team with Nakua, with Kupp, then I would probably say I don't think the Commanders would win that game. I don't think they would. But they would have kept it close. This team, and I'm not saying that they only beat the bottom teams, the bottom feeders. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these teams that they're beating, the Giants almost beat them, and they should have, but they didn't. The Bengals, who at that point were struggling, and they are known for having slow starts, and the Cardinals, who after that week 1 performance and after beating the Rams the way they did, they're not. I mean, they look okay. Like, their defense is shredded cheese, and their offense isn't consistent. Not shredded cheese, Swiss cheese. You know what I mean. If they played the one team that they played that was real was Tampa. Now, the one thing I will say though about that, it's week 1. So obviously you're going to have some struggles week 1. That's just the way it is. You need to be an unbelievably good football team to not have any struggles out of the gate. So that's kind of where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to count that or not. I mean, I will count it because it's a 17-point loss. Like, it's a bad loss. I need to see more. I don't. I'm just saying the Commanders. They need a miracle to beat San Francisco. I don't see them beating San Francisco. They're not beating the Ravens. They're. I don't think they're good enough to. I think the Vikings would beat them. I think the Lions would beat them. Obviously, Tampa's beaten them already. A fully healthy Dolphins team with Tua wins that beats them. Like, they're not astronomically good where everyone should be saying World Series contender or World Series contender. I told you, mine's kind of on baseball a little bit here. I mean, that completely when we're talking baseball, maybe. Okay, that's already a podcast, so don't no copyright there. This is not a team that's going to go to the Super Bowl, but this is a team that could make noise late December. So overall, I think they're a solid football team, but until I see them win a big game, they're nothing more than that. Ravens with a dominant win in Buffalo. Not in Buffalo. It was at Baltimore. They beat Baltimore. They beat Buffalo. I'm all over the place. I apologize. What a win for the Ravens. Look, this is a team that I was like, I'm concerned about them. I was like, they're 1-2 out of the gate. They're in a really tough division. But now they're 2-2. They just beat a really fun Buffalo team, and I make that distinction. There's a difference between being a fun team and a great team. Buffalo with Diggs. I made this point on last week's episode. Buffalo with Diggs is a great football team, but they're not going to win the big games. Fun teams win the big games, and I think that's the most important distinction when it comes down to that. This is a team that came out of the gate and they took it to Buffalo. Derrick Henry dominating, Lamar dominating. They didn't. Justice Hill was great. He played a really good game. They did it mainly without Zay Flowers, largely without Mark Andrews, who's getting no targets. I have no idea why. Isaiah Likely has been good to start the season. They're doing it without these big playmakers. They're running the ball. They're running it well. The defense is playing well. The Ravens, they're trained to go wild to start, but now the wheels are really turning. I don't see any team right now. I mean, there's a select few, maybe like 5 or 6 that can beat this Ravens team. Until then, the Ravens looked like a dominant team over the Buffalo Bills. That's really small text. I apologize. Is there room for concern with the Vikings' near second half collapse? I just mentioned this in the score recap. Is there room to be concerned? Of course there is. There's obvious, room to be concerned here. Let's be real. When you're up 28-0, you should not be winning 31-29. That's just not the way that games are meant to be, right? You're meant to win 28-0 lead games 35-10 maybe. Maybe 35-17. You're not supposed to make it a 2-score game. That's a 26-point turnaround, and it all happened really in one quarter. I'm a little concerned. But that second half Vikings team is still a Vikings team that would beat a majority of the league, right? And the way I'm taking this is this. You're 4-0. You just beat a divisional opponent. I've seen everything I need to see with this Vikings team. So now we know who they are. Now we know what the Vikings are about. They're about fast starts. They're about running. They're about that play action kind of middle of the road where they do both, where they throw the ball well and they run the ball well, and they get the play action going, and they get hit underneath the guys like Oliver, guys like Johnny Munn, and they really get that stuff going. That's what they're about. They're about quickness. They're about starting fast. That's why Brian Flores blitzes so much. Look, if you're out and they will score points on you. You need to score points back because the Vikings, and we've seen it every single week, they get out to large leads and they hold them for the entire game. This is not a team that's going to come from behind. If they're down 21-10, I feel significantly less confident than I do if they're up 21-10, even if it's in like the second quarter. This is a team that's not going to blow a lead. They're going to lose a chunk of the lead, but they're not going to blow it. At least that's not what I've seen of them. So is there room for concern? Absolutely. This is the first real time that we've seen the Vikings give up a lead like this. But the fact that they held the Packers out at the end of the game, that shows you what they're about. This is a Vikings team that's resilient. Resiliency is what they preach. That's what Kevin O'Connell preaches. That's what KOC. That's the guy, right? That's what he preaches. Resiliency, and they're resilient. So, am I concerned a little bit? And you have every right to be, but it's one game and it's a division opponent. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't really know about this. That's why I'm not really super concerned. Skull Viking 68, though, I'm really curious to see what you have to say about this. Is there room for concern? I'm really curious to see what you say. I mean this with absolutely no disrespect. This bottom ticker right here, but the Browns are terrible. They are literally the worst team I've ever seen put on football pads since the 2016 Cleveland Browns. I don't understand how this team is so bad. They suck. They suck. Period. They are just not a good football team. And I don't know where it starts. Because let me tell you this, Stefanski's not the problem. He's won 2 Coach of the Year. It's not him. It's not him at all. It's Watson. And that contract is going to be it's going to kill them. If they had any other quarterback, literally any other quarterback. Now, I'm not saying, and I don't like to be this kind of person, but I am going to be this person. If this team has Daniel Jones, they right now, instead of being 1-3, they're probably 2-2 or maybe 3-1. And that's just the way it is. If this team had a Daniel Jones like quarterback or someone who's kind of on that level, if they had like a Sam Darnold, that makes things so significantly different. It's why I'm not, and I'm obviously it's not all on Watson. The defense hasn't been as good as we expected them to be. Pass coverage hasn't been great. But man, Deshaun Watson, he's not on it at all. He is, and it's funny we have dog of the week, we have player of the week. That's where these guys are. This is where he is. He's on the complete opposite spectrum. They're not even close, and I don't even know where to start. They suck. I don't know where else. I don't know what else to say about them. This one's a little bit more simple. Is Dallas vulnerable? Yes. The simple answer is yes. This upcoming week they play Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh can win this game, it says more about Dallas than it says about Pittsburgh. We know what Pittsburgh's about. Tough, gritty defense, a game-managing offense. Look, the Steelers are not going to score 40 points and win 40-17. That's not their game. Their game is 23-17, 20-17, 19-17. That is their style. Ground and pound, throw when you need to. Make sure you utilize Justin Fields' athleticism. Then defensively, grit. Don't let them score on you. Obviously, and great defensive analysis. Get pressure with Highsmith and Watt. Don't stop the run, stop the pass with Minka and everyone else. Look, this team, you know what the Steelers are about. Dallas has never been more vulnerable. And I know this because the Giants lost a primetime game, and no one is blaming the Giants for this loss. Everyone's saying, how do you only beat the Giants by 5 in primetime? How? And Dak Prescott's won 13 straight games. Dak was great. Don't get me wrong. He played a good game. I especially hate to say it. CeeDee Lamb's phenomenal. Great. He played a very good game. This team's vulnerable. If you neutralize the small glimpses of hope that this team has, it's over. The Giants, okay, they were close. They were very close. Their defense played well last Thursday. Their offense, for what it's worth, played pretty well. And now that Micah might be out, and now that DeMarcus Lawrence is out for 4 to 6 weeks, Dallas is the most vulnerable team in the league. There are so many things that could go wrong with this team over the next few weeks. And look, Washington's 3-1. This team's 2-2. I know it's a significant difference. Look, Dallas is very vulnerable, and Pittsburgh needs to take advantage of that. So, breaking news, kind of. Davante Adams requests a trade from Las Vegas. So, this is probably going to get uploaded around 6:30 my time. So, this got. I'm going to look at my phone really quick. I believe this got posted. When did this get posted? He requested a trade around an hour ago. So just so that's relatively still breaking, still kind of fresh in our minds. Davante Adams requested a trade. So there's been rumors that he's been unhappy because of the terrible quarterback play. Minshew has been great, and O'Connell, obviously, you guys know how I feel about him. So we kind of knew that this was coming. We knew that once they got rid of Derek Carr, which I still don't know why they did that. That was a stupid idea, but whatever. We knew that he was unhappy with Garoppolo. He made that evidently clear on the receiver show. We knew that he wasn't really super happy with Aiden O'Connell. Now he's not happy with Gardner Minshew. And Antonio Pierce the other day, I think it may have just been yesterday, he liked a post saying Davante Adams wants to be traded. And he liked it. He liked the post. And now everyone's saying, oh, okay, well, he likes to troll the media. Okay, fine, fair enough. But now it's reality. So now we know it's a matter of time before, he actually gets traded. So my main point that I want to make about this is simply put this. So here is what I wanted to say. Who are the best suitors for Davante Adams? There's one team and one team only that I can genuinely think that would be a good fit for him. And it's someone who they just lost a receiver, the Chiefs. And let me tell you this right now. If the Chiefs get Davante Adams, it's over, ladies and gentlemen. It is over for the NFL. It is absolutely over for the NFL, right? There's no way that let's be real here, there's no chance that anyone in the league is beating Patrick Mahomes with Davante Adams. And based on what we know, based on what Schefter's reporting, Schefter said that the Raiders want a second-round pick plus additional compensation. So what is the additional compensation? Additional compensation, because it's not being clarified, that's more of a toss-up for teams to interpret. So a second-round pick is certified. What's the uncertified part of it? In my opinion, additional compensation is a fourth or fifth-round pick. Or it's a player in a position of need for the Raiders. So let's just use the Giants let's use the Chiefs, for example. The Chiefs would make more sense here. So the Chiefs would trade a second-round pick, and they would trade either a fifth-round pick or Sky Moore. That's my interpretation of it. If that's all it takes to get Davante Adams, Andy Reid better be saying, hello, I want Adams right now. I mean, that's a given, right? That is a given. If that's all it takes, now again, I'm kind of assuming here, and that's not necessarily that may not necessarily be accurate in terms of what additional compensation actually means, but that's how I'm interpreting it. So that's what I got to say about that. Player of the week, man, oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. I just did this the exact wrong way. I apologize. There's no build up. But what else can I say about player of the week is absolutely going to be Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was bananas this week. Absolutely bananas. Here are his stats against Buffalo. 24 rushing yards for 199 yards, a rushing touchdown, which was an 87-yarder, by the way. He also added three catches for 10 yards and a receiving touchdown. That is unreal. No doubt he's going to be player of the week. He was phenomenal this week. There's no doubt in my mind that player of the week should have been Derrick Henry. He was great. Every time the Ravens gave him the ball, he was running up the middle for like 5 or 6 yards. He was phenomenal again in prime time when the lights shine the brightest. King Henry, take your throne. Dog of the week. So who's dog of the week? There's only one player who, and I'll be honest, I was wrong about him. I was absolutely wrong about him. This guy has been playing out of his mind. He is unbelievably good, and I will take all the blame for it. I was absolutely wrong about him. Dog of the week, week 4. Nico Collins. Nico Collins, man. He has been on one. He's currently leading the league in receiving yards, and I believe he's leading it by, I think, over 100 receiving yards. He has, I want to say he has 493. I might be wrong about that, but I believe he has 493 right now, which is insane that he has that much through 4 weeks. Let me fact check that right now. I know he's leading the league in receiving yards. The second closest is Malik Neighbors with 386. Nico Collins right here. So Nico Collins, he has 489 receiving yards so far. That is unreal. 489. So I was pretty close. He has 49 through 4 weeks. I believe he's on pace for over 2,000 yards. I think, or he's going to make it very close. I'll be honest. This past week against Jacksonville, 12 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown. He's been put like that's a normal week for him this season. Let me tell you, Nico Collins, I'm going to give him all the credit in the world. He has been absolutely fantastic to start this season, and I was wrong about him. If you guys remember, my 5 fantasy players you should not target. Nico Collins was one of them. I had concerns that Dell would get a higher target share. Diggs obviously coming in would hurt that a little bit. Dalton Schultz, Kate Stover, Joe Mixon coming in. Look, you should have stayed away from Nico Collins. He is phenomenal. I was completely wrong about him. I didn't think that he was going to be this good this season, but man, Nico Collins is absolutely balling out. Very deserving of the Dog of the Week title. So congratulations, Nico Collins. You're a dog. I mean, I don't think he needs me to tell him that, but that's just genuinely true. So that's where we're going to end this episode 26. Be a week 4 recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And be on the lookout for a announcement. It's either going to be tomorrow or Thursday, probably, about the Game Picks video, which will be uploaded Saturday at noon. So keep an eye out for that. I'll see you guys soon. This is Talking Football. That's what I can say about it.